Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Illinois State University. We may be wearing face coverings today, except when we speak here, but we're also physically distancing, but at least we're gathering in person, which is really refreshing, so glad that you're here. It's a pleasure to welcome Governor Pritzker to campus along with our local leadership to talk about the census, which is a very important topic and something that can be easily overlooked when most of the news headlines are about the COVID-19 pandemic. Illinois State actively participated in the McLean County Complete Count Committee and coordinated a parallel marketing campaign entitled Every Redbird Counts. Our university housing services submitted the information for all on-campus students in May per the originally prescribed process by the U.S. Census Bureau, and that totaled nearly 6,000 students. In July, the U.S. Census Bureau asked university presidents to perform a data upload for all students to help increase response rates, and because college communities were particularly affected by COVID impacts on census response rates. Illinois State University, along with Illinois Wesleyan, were among the first institutions in the region to respond to this request. Illinois State prepared the information based upon data present in the student information system and submitted the information in August, totaling another nearly 7,000 students. Approximately 23% of the census tract ISU is a part of, presumably off-campus students, also completed this self-response via internet in the spring. The individual response rate map reflects that Illinois State Census tract looks a bit low because the university's data was submitted through another mechanism within the Census Bureau. At the end of the day, all the data will be extremely important to the state and to this community. And to talk about that, please join me in welcoming a person who's been here before, and we're always delighted to see, Governor Jb Pritzker. Governor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for really the terrific work that you do here at Illinois State. And I want to just also say that in these very, very difficult times, leadership really matters, and President Dietz has demonstrated it every step of the way. I also want to offer my gratitude and thanks to the Illinois Department of Human Services Secretary Grace Ho, who joins us today, Mayor Coos, Leader Bill Brady to my left, Leader Dan Brady, and Blono NAACP Chapter President Linda Foster, all of whom are working very hard together, frankly, to help us to expand our reach to get a complete count. Before we get to today's topic, I want to highlight that yesterday I announced a $7.5 million round of funding from the Illinois COVID-19 Recovery Fund. In total, over $30 million has gone to support organizations helping communities all over the state with significant investments in central and southern Illinois, including over $600,000 for Bloomington Normal before yesterday's dollars went out. And I'm very grateful to everyone who was able to contribute to this effort, and most importantly to the incredible organizations across our state who are helping individuals and families through this pandemic. So now to the topic at hand. The people here with me today share a common mindset, a commitment to doing the essential, necessary work that will shape the next decade of federal funding and congressional representation for the state of Illinois. And we have 21 days left to secure the best count that we can. So let me pause at that and just say that 21 days is not a lot of time, but it is just enough time for people to go online, to make a phone call, to spend the less than 10 minutes that it takes to get counted. So Redbirds, I want to make sure you all know the stakes could not be higher. Every 10 years in this country, we count the number of people who live in this state, and based upon that number, the federal government gives our state funding for schools and hospitals and roads and child care and much more. And the higher the count, the more of your federal tax money comes back to Illinois instead of going to other states, and the more representatives we get in Congress. Just a 1% undercount could result in the state losing over $195 million in federal funds each year at a time when we need our full funding the most. Today, when Illinoisans pay our federal taxes, we are one of only 10 states that gets back less than we pay. We can do so much better. And all of you can help by simply getting counted in the census. We're competing against all of the other states, and honestly, we're doing pretty well so far. Right now, Illinois is number 2 among the most populous states and number 7 overall in our response rate. But we can't rest on our laurels. I'm here today because I want to be sure that this community gets its fair share and that all of you get counted. Right now, Normal's census response rate is 65.9%, and that's the good news. That's a 10 percentage point increase from 2 weeks ago. The bad news is that that's still below the current statewide self-response rate of 70% and the McLean County rate of 72%. So let's get it right for Bloomington Normal. Call your friends and your neighbors or send them a text or an email and urge them to do their part by going online to my2020census.gov, again, my2020census.gov, and fill out the form. Very simple. Just like voting, filling out the census is an act of civic engagement. It's a demand to be fully heard and fully counted. And because many of you are college students, or you know college students, you have an even bigger opportunity to make a difference because college students are among what's considered hard to count populations. It's easy to get counted, it really is. You can do it on your mobile phone, you can do it right now. It's just a few questions, it takes less than 10 minutes, and it's more important than ever before. It will bring more investment, better schools, better roads, and better health care to your community and to you and to your family. The census is a crucial tool to get the funds to invest in our people and build the equitable Illinois that we all want to build. So pick up your phone again and go to my2020census.gov, or you can call 1-844-330-2020. Again, 1-844-330-2020. Take the time to make sure that your voice is heard. So thank you, and now I'd like to turn it over to our Secretary of Human Services, who really is doing an amazing job, especially during this COVID pandemic, and that's Secretary Grace Ho. Secretary?
Is it morning? Is it afternoon? Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for your leadership throughout all these months. You have held steady and have held strong on our commitment at the state of Illinois to a complete count for the Census 2020. And we at the Illinois Department of Human Services are proud to lead the outreach effort for the state of Illinois, and it's a pleasure to join all of you here today. As Governor Pritzker stated, the deadline is fast approaching, 21 days left. If you are one of the, 37% who hasn't been counted in this area, now is the time. Now is the time. If you want your voice, if you want representation, if you want resources in this community, now is the time. The reason why, as Governor stated, that we want you to be counted is because responses impact how federal funding will be distributed in your schools, community services that affect you, like school safety, mental health services, and programs. Responding to the census is so very important. And in the Bloomington Normal community, the Department of Human Services is working with grassroots community organizations in partnership with the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission and the Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies. And they, in turn, are working with 16 local organizations who are subrecipients of the grant for the award in this state. So we have funded a grassroots effort all across the state in addition to a robust marketing and outreach plan. We must continue to work together to do everything we can to make sure that every Illinois resident is counted. And we're asking you now, help us get everyone counted through the end of this month, September 30th. Remember, this is our last chance to get it right until 2030, 10 years from now. I have every confidence we can count on this ISU student body to hashtag 2020 Census when you complete it, and encourage friends, families, and others to do so as well. Again, go to my2020census.gov and take the 10 minutes to make a difference for the next 10 years. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Chris Coos.
Good morning, everyone. And Governor Pritzker, thank you for the hard work that you do for the state of Illinois in these trying times. So it's December 31st, 2019, and the new year comes in, and we yell, Happy New Year, welcome 2020. What were we thinking? What were we thinking? It's a cruel irony that an undertaking so important as the 2020 census is straddled with COVID-19 and the challenges that we face on a daily basis to do an accurate census count. So I'm making a personal appeal to all of you here today to reach out to your friends, to reach out to your neighbors, to ask them, have you completed the census questionnaire? You can do it online, you can do it on the phone. Someone may come to your door. If someone comes to your door carrying a clipboard, it's probably a census worker. Answer that door, because it is so critical that we get an accurate count for McLean County, so that, as stated before, federal representation and federal fundings truly represent the residents of our community. And I'm going to put emphasis on that. We need to count the residents of McLean County to get an accurate count, to get fair federal representation. So this counts. We've got to get an accurate count. Please help us do that. And so it is my pleasure to welcome Linda Foster, President of Bloomington Normal Chapter of NAACP.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for attending this session. Governor Pritzker, thank you for taking the initiative to continue this endeavor of getting the word out so that individuals will have a voice. My name is Linda Foss. I am the president of the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, that have been around for over 111 years. Civil rights organization that has been fighting for instances just like this. So the individual will have a voice, and the individual will have rights and be entitled to be able to have the services and programs that everyone else has. I am a Redbird. I received my master's degree in social work some time ago. I'm also a retiree from Illinois State, so this is my home. And Redbirds, we know that when we call, you answer. So please tell your friends and neighbors to make sure that they sign up. Because what we're doing is that we are investing in our future, in our kids, in our grandkids, in our community, so that we can have a well-funded schools, senior programs, health care, social services, and the like. Political representation, infrastructure, to keep our community thriving. It's not about wealth, and it's not about land ownership. It's about our population and the needs of our community. It's a community thing that provides the necessities to be a healthy, educated, and safe community. People of color are impacted by underfunding, under political representation, and undercounted. This lasts a decade. A decade equals 10 years. 10 years determine your faith by being counted. Guess what? It's free, but it pays dividends for 10 years. So let's invest in our families and our community. Thank you. Now we have, coming to the podium, is Leader Senator Bill Brady.
Thank you, Linda, and good morning to everybody. I'm here to echo the comments you've already heard. I want to thank the governor for taking the time to be here to emphasize how important this count is. In order to have fair representation in our nation's capital and receive a fair share of our tax dollars back, we need to make sure that everyone, our friends, our neighbors, and our relatives, most of us have probably already been counted, but we've got 21 days to make sure the people that we are around get counted as well. If they don't get counted, our communities and our representation will suffer. As Linda said, it pays dividends. Let's reap those dividends. Thank you for being here and help us make sure everyone gets counted. Next, I'd like to introduce Leader Dan Brady of the Illinois House of Representatives.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be with all of you today. I first off want to thank Governor Pritzker for being here, and I also personally want to thank Governor Pritzker for his help with me and others at our test site here at the Interstate Center in McLean County. Obviously, it's been tested too that a full census count is critical to our communities. Federal funding for our schools, roads, hospitals, and other resources are awarded based on population and other information provided in the census that's so important. So I stress that we fill out our census, that we get involved, and we have our voices be heard that many have attested to today. And one of the ways we talk about free, a free gift for you and others that I have today, is this mask that's been provided that says make it count. Not only do you protect yourself, you protect those around you, and you promote the census and remind people, since we're all into seeing what's on facial coverings now. And I just happen to have my daughter Danielle here, who's a Redbird herself, standing over here with hundreds of these masks. If you'd please take them off our hands, it would be great. So please see Danielle afterwards, and it's my pleasure to be here. And I'd like to welcome back to the podium Governor Pritzker.
Thank you, Leader Brady, and thank you, Danielle, for bringing the masks to hand out to anybody who'd like one, and I hope you will wear them, especially over the next 21 days. Happy to take questions from members of the news media. Well, there are adjustments being made, as you know. It is difficult when you gather a lot of people all at once back to campus. People are getting tested. That's how we know that there has been an uptick or that people have COVID-19. I think Bradley has made a wise choice for their campus. What works for them may not work for everybody else. What I know is that testing is hugely important. We're trying to expand it and have been for many months now. Testing across the state has gone up to a point where we're the third highest testing state in the entire country now, and very proud of that fact, but more is still needed. And so we're going to do everything that we can to provide testing for students and faculty, for all of the people who work here on campus and across the Bloomington-Normal region, because getting tested, that knowing whether you have COVID and being able to isolate, knowing that, or to seek treatment if you need it, that's the first step, contact tracing being the next step. And I want to compliment the county public health leaders who across the state who really have stepped up to contact trace and are continuing to hire. And for people who are interested in being contact tracers, there still are opportunities in your county to get the training, which is a relatively simple training, and then to help us out by expanding our contact tracing. It's less ideal to send students home who are who test positive. That is that they should quarantine in place. Sending them home has the potential to add to the numbers of people who contract COVID-19. It's better if there's an opportunity for them to stay on campus, to recover on campus, to continue to get treatment or tested on or near campus. That's what I would recommend to every university in the state. Well, I think you know that it's very important, and I think the town of Normal has, the city of Normal has done a good job in this regard to increase enforcement, to make sure that the message is getting out there and that people are held responsible. Enforcement has always been a challenge because we don't want to, cite people. We certainly don't want to arrest people who aren't wearing a mask or who aren't following the provisions of our mask mandate or gathering mandates. But at the same time, we need to make sure that the message gets across to people that this is this is an insidious virus. You don't know you have it until after you have it for several days. And while you have it asymptomatically or pre-symptomatically, you're giving it to other people when you're with them. So gathering in large groups just heightens the possibility that many other people will get it. Think about it this way. If you have a 6 or 7% positivity rate, that means that when you walk into a room of 100 people, there are going to be 6 people in that room who are mixing and mingling who have it. So think about that when you're gathering in a large group when you're not supposed to. That there are people among you, just by virtue of the positivity rate that's likely exists in a county, that you're going to run across somebody who's got it. So wear your mask, keep distance, make sure you're adhering to the capacity limits. Personal responsibility has got to be an enormous component of this. There's no doubt about it. People have to know that, and it's very simple. It's very simple to adhere to what we've asked you to do. I mean, really, we've asked people to do 3 things: to take personal responsibility for wearing a mask, for maintaining social distance, washing your hands. Those are 3 hugely important things. And by the way, we have enough testing in this state that if you feel like you want to get tested, if you feel like you've come in contact with a group of people and you're concerned, you can get tested. And we continue to expand that testing. And as you know, because we now have saliva testing on another campus in Illinois, we're going to try to expand that across the state and especially to our college campuses. And here to ISU. So I think we're in a very good position to continue expanding. I just want to remind you that back in May, really, we had testing at about 5,000 a day. We now have testing at nearly 50,000 a day, and that's continuing to ramp up. And I'm very, happy that we've got that. That's the beginning of how you contain COVID-19. Well, let me begin. So the question was about the vaccine and how fast we might be able to open the state up. Look, there's been a lot of talk about the idea that there would be a vaccine before the election, and I think that's coming from somebody who's running for re-election. And the reality is that we're going to make sure that whatever we're distributing is safe. That's got to be the first thing that we do. The second thing so that means there isn't a date certain. It's about a safety level that we want to reach. The second thing that's very important is that we have to have a distribution plan, and that's something that the state indeed is well along the way to putting together. We want to make sure that the people who are most vulnerable are reached first, people who are most at risk because of the jobs that they have, our frontline workers, our nurses, our doctors, et cetera. We want to make sure that they are covered, and so on. You know, there'll be a list by priority, and of course by availability of that vaccine. As to how fast and how we would reopen the state, as you know, we've worked very diligently as we've ramped up testing, contact tracing, and people have been adhering to the mask mandate that we've had in place since May. That's allowed us to reopen things gradually. When we get a vaccine, obviously, when it's distributed in a wide enough fashion, we'll make sure that we're reopening as quickly as we can, but very importantly, as safely as we can until the vaccine is indeed widely distributed and people have it. So I have every interest in making sure that the economy of our state thrives, but most importantly, that we keep people safe and healthy. Sure. Look, the state has distributed that money as fast as it could, given that the budget was passed in May. As you know, there was a truncated session in May, 4 days in May, in which the budget passed. That allowed us to distribute those funds to the various county boards of health, to the county departments of health, and then they've been in the process of hiring up since then. So actually, I would say McLean County is doing a good job hiring. There's obviously more to do, and we're continuing to work on that and work with them. But you know, the way that the departments of public health are organized in the state of Illinois, the Illinois Department of Public Health does not dictate to county departments of public health how they should do something, what exactly they should do. There is a partnership, and it's a good partnership. But it is up to the county departments to make the decisions about how quickly, et cetera, they're able to hire, and we've distributed those funds so that they could hire. Yep.
Well, there is an investigation that's going on. Mayor Coos and I were talking about that right before we walked out here this morning, and so the gathering of a so-called YouTube celebrities known as the Nelk Boys occurred, and the Nelk production company has a reputation for prank videos, but it was no joking matter last night when residents invited them to the town of Normal. A crowd of more than 70 reportedly gathered around the Nelk Boys at a local apartment complex in the early morning hours, and the Normal police arrived and the crowd dispersed. It really gives me no joy to convey my great disappointment in the actions of those who gathered. Indeed, the bulk of our students here are doing what we expect them to do. I kind of wish it was in the middle of classes here, you'd see a lot of students walking around here with their masks on, socially distanced, and doing the right thing. Unfortunately, some of those last night did not. So we're investigating that. If individuals are identified out of that gathering, we have a student conduct code that will be applied. The mayor and I are talking about other potential sanctions that the town of Normal might issue as well. But I was very disappointed, very saddened, and we hope that that never happens again here. But the bulk of our students are doing the right thing. Sure, there's a due process through, for that code, and so we have staff that work with that code, and so there'd have to be reports that will come to them, but interim suspensions are possible. interruptions in the students' plan to be here are all possible. And so we take this very, very seriously. We want to underscore the fact that the individuals who are doing the right thing, we want to applaud them. And we don't want the actions of a few to completely interrupt the good work of the many. And so we take that very seriously. But the conduct code is a mechanism that the university can apply both on and off campus. But we've got to go through the investigation to find out who the individuals are. Thank you all.